win last week against Catholic. How's it feel to get your first ODAC win?
Yeah, I didn't realize I had the first ODAC win until their offensive line coach, who coached me for 6 years, as my defensive line coach, said it to me after the game. So, but I didn't really realize it until after he said it. And after he said it, it actually made me think, wow, the first one's always the hardest to get. It was nice to get it and get it out of the way.
Good deal. Good deal. Looks like last couple weeks, offense has been on fire. What's been the change? Do you think it's just been the coaching staff, the kids' attitude? What's been the change?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think our coaching staff is very passionate. I think they always have been. But you got Coach Barnett's first-time offensive coordinator, here. So I think there was some learning curves along the way. You had to get a brand new staff to gel, and that's not always easy to do offensively. Defensively, I brought my defensive line coach down with me, my secondary guy down with me, so we're already gelling. I think that was part of it, but I think the experience paid off. And I think the one thing, more than anything, is the turnovers. I mean, you look at our game against Greensboro, that was whatever, but the next two, we had 7 and 6, and we just kept turning the ball over. Washington Lee, again, 5 or 6, and finally we stopped turning the ball over more than our opponent, and now we're able to keep strides with them. So I think that our kids realize now, stop turning the ball over, and good things are going to happen for us offensively.
Do you think at this point in the season, even though it's next to the last game, do you think they finally bought in, or was that early? And like you mentioned, the turnovers have just been a major part. So it's not them buying into the system; it's just basically applying it.
I think they bought in all along for the most part. I think the younger kids were trying to get a feel for what the older kids were doing, but again, the older kids with the new staff are still trying to figure it out as well. So I think once they all started to kind of come together and gel, as I told them all along, we need to come together as one. We need to work together. Experience is going to pay off, and every week we need to get better. Eventually, we're going to be able to turn the corner. We did that. We felt at Hampton-Sydney. We were right there, very close to turn the corner. It was all going to come together. We challenged them that week before Catholic last week to. Now's the week. This is the week we got to do it. We're going against a good Catholic team who's sitting 5 and 3. We have a chance to not finish in the bottom of the conference now. We go win this game, it puts us up one more spot. We go win the following one, another spot, and maybe depending on how the Catholic Bridgewater game ends up, we could be in the middle of the pack.
Good deal.
After going the season you had a year ago. So I think they did buy in all along. I think it just took time to bring those who wanted to be here together, and just that experience of understanding what it takes to really win and playing hard for four consecutive quarters, which we've always been doing. Yeah. But you got to eliminate a lot of those mistakes that we were making too.
Yeah, that's one thing that has impressed me at all the home games I've gone to and interview players afterwards. The first thing they say is, "We're all brothers. We're a team." Right. Until that final whistle blows, we don't give up.
Right.
It's amazing to see a group of young kids like that have really kind of solidified themselves that way.
Right. It takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. When I first got here, it's an interesting story. I brought them all together within the first couple of weeks of being on the job, and I asked them to all get in groups of people they hang out with, and they did that. And there was about 9-10 different groups amongst 77 players, and 2 individuals standing by themselves as well. And I also started to ask them to intermingle, moving one guy here, one guy here, one guy there. And I started to ask guys if they knew who that new guy was in their group, and some of them couldn't name their own teammates. So, you had to bring them together. And I think one of the focuses we tried to do over the course of 9 months was to start that process. Then you bring a freshman class in, and we're starting to bring them in here and get the process. That takes time. Yeah. So when you don't have as many upperclassmen that already are gelled, you're trying to gel them and then trying to gel a whole another 37 freshmen. It's a longer process than what you were hoping it would be. Yeah. But now that we're getting to that point, we want to get out with another victory, go on a 2-game winning streak, go into the offseason, recruit, do everything we need to do, come back next semester, continue to bring them into gel, continue to work hard, and hopefully next year will be a better year for us.
Speaking of recruiting, how does your recruiting process work? How far out do you guys go?
Well, we go pretty far. I mean, we're going to hit pretty much the East Coast. We got 7 coaches that are going on the road. We'll hit the entire state of North Carolina. We're going to hit the entire state of Virginia. We're going to get some in the southeastern PA and a little bit in New Jersey. We're going to get down into the major cities of Georgia. The main cities, Spartansburg and Greensville, South Carolina, down into Myrtle Beach. We're going to hit over a little bit of Tennessee. So we're going to be all over the place. I mean, we're trying to, basically our focus is we want to get as many kids as we can from the state of North Carolina and not allow them to leave the state. Yeah. But we also know down below us in Georgia and South Carolina, there's nowhere for them to go. So we're going to try to go in there and give them a place to go. And then we're going to go try to steal a few out of Virginia from our own ODAC competitors.
Good deal. Let me see. All right, what's your facing Emory and Henry this week? What's your biggest concern?
That we can continue to play at a high level. I think we can. I think it's anytime you go into your last week, I think our kids are playing for what they know it's worth. What's always hard is sometimes when you're in a down year or whatever, going into last week, a lot of them are looking forward to the following week when they get the rest and relaxation. But I'm just hoping our kids are fired up for this week. They play that last one for the senior group, and we can move forward from there. In terms of Emory and Henry, I mean, they throw the ball a lot, just like the last two opponents.
Yeah.
I think our experience, we're getting better each of the last 2 weeks, and it's going to pay off for us. So, I mean, talking about Emory and Henry itself, it's just a matter of they're going to have more experience than us. They're going to have some possibly bigger players than us and some stronger players than us because they're juniors and seniors. And again, we're primarily sophomores and freshmen. So, and so was Catholic and so was Hampton Sydney, and I thought we did a good job against them. But that would be the only concern is how is our experience going to match up with the experience that they have?
Okay. Let me see. Right now, the defense leads the ODAC with 22 sacks.
Right.
Do you plan on being aggressive in the offensive backfield, knowing that they're going to throw the ball a lot?
The philosophy on our system is that we're building speed, and when you're building speed, you need to be aggressive. You can't be small and fast and sit back.
Yeah.
You start doing that, people are going to start bullying and pushing you around a little bit.
Okay.
It's just the philosophy of the 4-2 system. And one thing that I noticed that doesn't happen a lot in the ODAC is people don't like the pressure in the backfield. You mentioned about just the sacks, but I think we're in the top somewhere in the top in the country in tackle for losses as well. Mainly for the same reasons. We're going to get after you in all different phases, from all different angles and from all different personnel. So we're going to give you the illusion that maybe it's happening over here, but it's really coming from over here. So that's just the style we use. Now, where we're at now, when we started the season, because of the experience level, we had to really tone things down. We had to start with some base stuff and build into where we're at now. Against Hampton Sydney, we really got into a lot of our pressures in an aggressive man, coverage behind it. Then we were able to progress into our zone package behind it. And now I think going in Emory and Henry, we kind of have everything in place to go into whatever game plan we want to get after them a little bit. So yeah, we'll be aggressive, but that's just the style of the defense.
Good deal. Good deal. Their defensive backfield has 16 interceptions. You mentioned earlier ball security as well as the penalties. You guys average 75 penalty yards a game.
Right.
Is that something that concerns you, their defensive backfield kind of being protective of what type of packages you run this week?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's two questions there. The first question you said about the penalties. The penalties, to me, are more of an experience thing. I mean, you look at, we may lead the most in penalties, but our opponents are also... when they play us, our opponents are also the most in penalties. So it just happens to be in every game we play, and there's a lot of penalties going on both sides of the ball. And I think that is an experience thing. You got young guys flying around that are just kind of a little hesitant sometimes, which is one of our focus last week against Catholic. We said, we're not going to be hesitant anymore. We're getting after it. If you make a wrong mistake, just do it full force. Don't be thinking about what you did. And I think what happened is when you're hesitant, penalties are going to happen. I'm not sure if it was to block this guy. Oh, boy, I was. Boom, you pull them. Things like that start to happen. To answer your question about the interceptions, I mean, it's always a concern. But, what Emory and Henry does is they drop 8 guys. A lot of the times they'll send 3. Every once in a while they'll send an extra guy, but they sit in a lot of zone coverages. So when you get pressures, what's happening is a lot of people are throwing the ball up, and it's just like free for all at that point. So they're able to get some interceptions based off of that. So I think we just got to be able to be controlled and know what our reads are, know what we need to do, and protect our quarterback with our 5 men up front.
Okay, good deal, Coach. I appreciate.